a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And we're blessed and highly favored here in the Consumer Quarterback Show studios. Salem Media, helping you win in any marketplace. In studio with us today, Duane Bishoff, CPA of Tampa Bay, in studio with us. We're going to talk about the ERC program, hurricane extensions, and also scams to avoid, what to look out for on today's program as well. Thomas and JD in the house-friendly pest control in studio with us. Nick Friedman as well, special guest, College Hunks College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we're going to talk with him about that successful franchise that they have created, $300 million annual revenue. Really interesting content coming up here on today's show. And as always, we like to feature our listings on air. But first, an invite for you. We want to invite you to our next gratitude party. Every month we throw a party, and you're invited, our audience, our listeners. Friday, September 27th, 6 o'clock, Tarpon Turtle, Tarpon Springs. Come on out and join us. We're going to have food, drinks, appetizers, great networking, and also boat rides. We're going to have pontoon boats there, going cruising on the lake, on Lake Tarpon, one of the largest lakes in Central Florida. Friday, September 27th, 6 o'clock, over at the Tarpon Turtle. And Alex BlackBelt Lima in studio with us as well. What say you, my friend?
What's up, man? Good to be here as always. And anything that involves crab cakes, grouper nuggets, good music, and pontoon boats sounds like a good time. I don't know. Why wouldn't you come?
Absolutely. Great networking. You meet some new business partners. We're always having great conversations related to business and making those connections as well out there. So we greatly appreciate everybody supporting the show, supporting the local economy by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show in all of our 80-plus categories, over 40 different partners, show contributors, expert contributors on the Consumer Quarterback Show, online at consumerqb.com. Lee's Royal Services, by the way, quick shout out to our friend Lee over at Lee's Royal Services. He does a great job cleaning our real estate properties, and leesroyalservices.com is where you can find him, home and office cleaning. He's also a handyman service, so he can knock off some of those handyman items off of the honey-do list for you. leesroyalservices.com. Make sure you let him know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, a couple of hot listings, and we're going to jump into this content with Duane Bishoff, CPA of Tampa Bay. We got a property in Gainesville on Archer Place. We've got actually 92 units. We are about 25% sold out now. We've been selling these condos for about 3 months, and we're about 25% sold out. These are beautiful pre-construction luxury condos in Gainesville, Florida, starting in the 400s up to the 900s for the beautiful two-story penthouses with private plunge pools. You're 1 mile from the University of Florida, 5 minutes to Shands Medical, Butler Plaza, high-end luxury, state-of-the-art fitness center there with Pelotons, resort-style, temperature-controlled pool, and, of course, gourmet chef kitchen in the clubhouse overlooking the pool. Check out 3101 Old Archer Road. We've got multiple properties available in Gainesville, Florida. 221 Howard Drive. This one's in Bel Air Beach. Beautiful property here. $3.4 million listing from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Compliments of Aaron Foley on our team. 221 Howard Drive. You got 5 bedrooms, 3 bath, 3,500 square foot single family home. Exclusive Bel Air Beach location. Gorgeous 3-island kitchen with Thermador appliances. Saltwater pool. 100 feet of water frontage. Deep water access. So bring your boats, bring your jet skis. And the historic Howard Drive boasts one of the highest land elevations in the area. And, of course, you're only 1 block from the beach, so that's fun as well. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, Duane Bishoff, welcome back, sir.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah, man. Good to see you back in studio. Been a little while. I know you think you had a little vacation and some downtime, and it's awesome, man.
Yeah, Alaska was great, and then had 2 eye surgeries, so all good.
All right. Feeling better, nice and relaxed, and back to work.
Yeah.
I love it. Speaking of work, have those 85,000 IRS agents made your job easier? Or?
So to be honest with you, I have to be honest. So the phone calls we call in is much shorter wait than they used to be.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the only big change that I can see.
Yep.
Is we have a line that we call in on Practitioners Hotline, and it's used to be 45 to an hour and a half wait. Now it's usually I pay for a service to cut the line,
Yeah.
but it takes me usually less than 10 minutes to get through.
Get up to the front of the line. I like that.
Yeah.
Used to do that at the amusement parks.
Correct.
Pay
Yeah.
a little extra money so I don't have to wait in line as long.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what is the ERC? What's going on with that program?
So the ERC is kind of just trying to blow this thing up because there's a ton of fraud involved, and the problem is the people who have legitimate claims are getting blown up in the process. I've got a client that's entitled to probably $350,000, and we filed his ERC for I think 3 quarters. And we just got a letter back that they denied it, and if you want to, try to come back at them, you need to sue them in federal court.
Wow.
There's not even like, please send us documentation to back up your claim, which you didn't have to do. They never asked you to do that.
Yeah, and the ERC, by the way, that's the employee
retention credit.
Retention credit. Okay,
Right.
so you had a client that filed for that,
Right.
and now they're not honoring that program?
Correct. They said he doesn't meet the requirements.
Huh.
They don't have the information to be able to make that claim.
Right.
Because it's a quarter by quarter claim. And they don't have any information unless they're getting into his file somehow, and I don't think they are doing that.
Right.
They only have annual information. So they're looking at a tax return and seeing if his annual revenue went down. Well, annual revenue doesn't have to go down. Just this quarter compared to last quarter had to go down.
Right.
And so you could have had 3 quarters that went down and 1 quarter that blew up. And
Right.
it's if you meet the math equation, you meet the math equation.
Right.
That's how it works.
Yep.
And so they denied it and said sue us.
Wow, that's
and
not
they've
your
said,
friendly Uncle Sam.
No, and they've said they've sent hundreds of thousands of these letters out denying these claims.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. And then you also have this hurricane now, so people are extending because of the hurricane that passed a few weeks back.
Yeah, so the hurricane, it's certain counties, so Hillsborough, Pinellas is included. So if you had a 1120S, a 1065, a personal tax return on extension already, some of those are due, or trust returns. So those are due September 15th. Some are due October 15th. Some are due September 30th. Those are all being extended until February 3rd. And if you have to make estimated payments for Q3, which are due September 15th, and Q4 are due January 15th, you don't have to pay those until February 3rd.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
Just buys you some time and have to send Uncle Sam some more money.
Now, are you still accumulating interest whenever you push those things down the line like that?
You are not for the estimated tax payments.
Okay.
So if you filed an extension and didn't send the money with your extension, you are incurring late penalty and interest on extending that time.
Got it.
Because it was supposed to all be paid back in April.
Okay. Yeah, we're talking with Duane Bishoff here, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show, CPA of TampaBay.com. You can find him online as well. He's also on our website. And we always talk about getting a review as well. You know, one of the things that we found by doing this show over a decade now is that sometimes people will be leaving money on the table, whether it's a real estate transaction, financial advisors, or especially in the CPA realm. Have you seen that in the past where people will say, hey, let's get a review. Let's let Duane take a look at this. Maybe our previous CPA was using some kind of a software maybe that wasn't up to date, or just kind of assumed that they knew certain tax codes, certain filing procedures. Have you seen those types of things happen over the years?
Yeah, we had one this time last year. We had a gentleman who sold some commercial property he had, and his daughter had been doing his tax returns with TurboTax, and he had sold this in plots, kind of this property, broke it up some and sold it. She absolutely didn't know what she was doing, and we filed his return. He's getting back $100,000 because she just didn't understand. We had another one. We got a client from actually a regional firm. Was surprised, and they missed his there's a deduction, qualified business deduction, and they didn't take it. I don't know why they didn't take it, but they didn't take it. It's 25% of his income.
Wow.
The guy makes $700,000 a year.
Wow.
So that one we're amending and getting that back as well.
Wow, that sounds like a six-figure mistake.
Yep.
Wow, over $100,000. Oh man, so that's what we recommend, folks. If you're out there thinking, hey, you look, maybe you've got a friend of the family or a friend of a friend, or maybe somebody that you like. They've got a great personality. They're friendly, but you might just want to get a review done. If you want to do that, all we have to do is have you reach out to the show hotline here, 727-263-3707. You can call or text that hotline. It's an off-air number, and then we'll put you in touch with Duane Bishoff, CPA of Tampa Bay. Let him review what you've done over the past couple of years. I think you can go back up to 3 years, that is.
Yep.
727-263-3707. You might as well get a review, get a second look, second set of eyes on it, and Duane will gladly take a look at that. What does that process kind of look and feel like, Duane?
So we don't charge for that. We would, unless we have to, unless we find something and we want to move forward and do tax returns, or so they would just call us, call the office. They'll get with me. We'll set up an appointment. We'll want to get copies of their back tax returns and maybe if there's a business QuickBooks files or whatever. And then our personal returns, look at the personal returns. It's bigger if they, if they've sold some property, there might be an issue, especially if they inherited it and they didn't take a step up in basis.
Right.
That's a common mistake there too. So those are all things that, kind of come into it.
Right. Yeah, you got to take a look at that. Now,
could be business expenses that they're just missing,
Right.
So.
Yeah. So you have a checklist and you'll go through and just kind of look and say, hey, here's something you might want to look at. And, and it's a free review.
Right.
So reach out, 727-263-3707. Let's get you going to Duane Bishoff, CPA of Tampa Bay, and get that second look, second set of eyes on it, and do a review. You're not going to get hurt from it. All you can do is gain from it. So that's something we recommend. Also, a lot of scams out there. With the Consumer Quarterback Show, we want to be that consumer advocate and help people kind of be alert of these and see it. You see it in title fraud with real estate now, especially out-of-state owners. Vacant land seems to be a hot commodity in terms of these scammers, because you're not walking in, looking at the kitchen, looking at the bathrooms. It's a vacant land. It's dirt. They're able to try to scam those easier. What are you seeing in the world of CPA of Tampa Bay and just scams that you're helping people avoid out there?
Yeah, so even with us is just looking through the email that comes to me. We look at email, and first thing I try to look at is the extension to see if it's coming from the U.S. or not.
Right.
And if it looks, so be careful of what you open in your email is the first thing. Review your bank statements. First thing you should do is, if you don't do that on a daily basis now, by going to your account, at least do it monthly and review your bank statements and review things that have cleared your bank and make sure you wrote those checks. There's not something strange in there. Those are, and then anybody asking for Social Security numbers, dates of birth, something weird. You want I'm leery about it. Yep. I don't, it could be legitimate. I make them prove it's legitimate before I'm starting the issue. And so you just got to be real mindful of that.
Yeah, I had one just the other day too. It was a small city tax or whatever, state tax, and I said, well, how do I know this is you? How do I know this is a legit? Oh, well, you could hang up and call our office back at this number, those types of things. So that seems like a pretty good, way. Hey, what's your, look them up online, call them directly. And then you had mentioned earlier too about checking to see if it's from the United States or not.
Yeah.
How do you know for sure what email?
A lot of times the extension, the last is dot. It could be
.com or US?
Yeah, it's not. Well, it's usually if it's .com or .net, it's usually here.
Okay.
But if it's like I'm going to say, I don't know if this is right, UK or
right.
RU for Russia or .gc for China, CN, I think. So if it's a weird, that's usually from another country.
Okay.
And so MX, I think, is Mexico. So if you see that, then that first thing will perk your ears up there.
Yeah. You're dealing with an out-of-state entity.
A lot of times they'll say it's Microsoft instead of .com. It says Microsoft, and then there's more to it, and that that's bogus. You just got to kind of understand those URLs that are coming through.
Right. Yep. That sounds right. All right, let's take a quick break there. Duane Bishoff in studio with us, CPA of Tampa Bay, and we've all heard about the economy being tough a little bit, but we're hearing these stories and reports about ducks missing from city ponds and city, just neighborhood ponds. Have you noticed any ducks disappearing? Got an interesting clip we're going to play from the Charlie Kirk show. Lawn or animals from disappearing from their lawns, cats and things of that nature. Clip coming up on that, and we'll talk more with CPA of Tampa Bay, Duane Bishoff, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
Lindsay Rhymes here with Archer Place in Gainesville, Florida. Our luxury condo community is located only 1.5 miles from the University of Florida, 5 minutes to Shands Medical and Butler Plaza. Our buyers love the high-end luxury amenities in their building, including a state-of-the-art fitness facility equipped with Pelotons, the resort-style temperature-controlled pool accompanied with cabanas and grills, and the gourmet chef's kitchen in our clubhouse that overlooks the pool. We have pre-construction pricing only for a limited time, with floor plans ranging from a 1-bedroom, 1-bath to 2-floor penthouses with plunge pools. Starting in the low 400,000s to the high 900s, investors, parents sending their young adults off to school, medical professionals, business owners, and entrepreneurs alike are investing in these residences. Reach out to us today at 727-263-3707 to get more information.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, in studio with Duane Bishoff, CPA of Tampa Bay. We're going to get to that Kirk clip here in a minute. Before we do, a couple of hot listings here. 719 7th Street North. This one is in St. Petersburg. Beautiful property, single-family home. You got almost 1,300 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, plus a bonus room. 719 7th Street North, St. Petersburg. You got a brick-paved street, close to downtown, real wood floors, high ceiling, stunning fireplace, and lots of updates here on this property at 719 7th Street North, St. Petersburg. Beautiful listing. Great curb appeal here as well, close to downtown, close to the beaches, and also easy access to the downtown Looper Trolley and Sun Runner Transit. 2790 Pinellas Point, another awesome listing from the team here. We've got Pinellas County right here, beautiful single-family home as well. This one is 3 bedrooms, 3-bath, 2236 square foot, and culinary enthusiasts will delight in the fully renovated kitchen, open floor plan, moments from the award-winning beaches, also beautiful landscapes, got a jacuzzi in there, solar panels as well, close to the Skyway Bridge. 2790 Pinellas Point Drive South, St. Petersburg, Florida. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. Quick shout out to our friends over at Solar Bear, solarbear.com. You can check them out online. And a lot of people are moving towards this solar kind of a revolution there. Solarbear.com, solarbear.com. Blake Ambrester is the person that has been the rep from their company, solarbear.com. You can find them online at solarbear.com. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take them up on special offers. Also, that was Brio Tuscan Grill as well, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, Duane Bishoff in studio with us. Have you heard this clip yet? Have you heard this talk about they're not yard, but neighborhood animals disappearing? Your friendly neighborhood pet might be disappearing, and then also these ducks disappearing. This is a crazy clip.
Springfield, Ohio, and shouldn't be here, and now they're talking about some people are speaking up about what has happened to their town. They're talking about how their hospitals, schools, and social services are being overwhelmed. They're talking about vagrants moving onto their lawns, and they fear all sorts of crime. And now they're talking about something even crazier. Allegedly, Haitians are going around and taking people's pets and eating them. The duck pond in a local park is being picked clean. So allegedly, you have Haitians in this town of Springfield, Ohio, that are going by and eating ducks.
So you talk about a free lunch. There you go. You got a free lunch right there. You know, it's comical on one hand, but it's sad on the other, man. We're bringing all these illegals in. They're, probably not able to earn an income in some cases, and in some cases they're taking Americans' jobs. But this economy's tough, man. This Bidenflation is real.
Yeah, I think I was watching Fox yesterday at some point, and they talked about the employment and how many
the jobs
citizens, the jobs they've just kind of, a lot of them just retired, because it's just gotten to that age.
Yep.
And then, but they're all being taken over by non-U.S.
Right.
Not necessarily illegal immigrants, but
right.
legal immigrants too.
Yep.
And but they're the ones filling. It was like over 1 million. The difference is like over 1 million jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're taking all the jobs. That's who's taking them.
And something else that number pops out is 818,000. That's the number of jobs that the whoever reports that, Department of Labor, whoever reports that, because every month, Duane, they would over-report those numbers by close to 100,000. And we've talked about it many times on the show, Alex, over the last few months, several months. It's like, so it's like putting on the front page of the paper, oh, this many jobs created, 350,000 jobs created this month by the Biden administration. And then in the back of the paper the next month on the small fine print at the bottom, oh, we actually overstated that. It was only 250. So they were off by 100,000 jobs many, many times. The total was 818,000 over the year. So
and then how many of those jobs are in the government sector?
Right, right, yeah.
That's what's growing.
Exactly.
Who wants that to grow?
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. All right, we got a couple minutes left. Let's talk about some consumer advocate tips, things to do, things to avoid, what to look out for. Duane Bishoff, CPA of Tampa Bay.
Yeah, so just I would just say keep your ears and eyes open, be vigilant. Make sure, track your accounts, take your credit cards, look at those accounts. You use them for so many things. Like I try not to use a debit card for anything online.
Right.
There's a lot harder to get them backed out than it is a credit card. So try to use a credit card for any of your online purchases. But you just got to stay vigilant, wary of all that. If you have a business, kind of from business, you have a business vehicle, track your mileage. It's easy to do. There's a lot of apps out there. Mile IQ is a really good one and makes it really simple. So track your mileage. Track all the money you spend. If you spend it out of your own pocket with cash, save the receipt. This is another thing that happens of business. So if you charge it on a charge card, oh, it's on my card, I went to Lowe's. That's not good enough. They want the receipt.
Okay.
So if you get audited, showing your charge account with purchases from Lowe's, if you're a contractor, it may not be good enough for that auditor. He doesn't have to be.
Wow.
And so they want to see what you bought at Lowe's. Specifically.
Yeah.
What you bought at wherever, Target or wherever you're buying stuff from.
Yeah.
They want to see, actually, you're supposed to have your receipt.
So not just the line item. They want to see, hey, yeah, this was 2x4s and plywood because we did a repair to a rental property.
Correct.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
So there's a system out there. You can scan your receipts. It does a really good job of saving them and categorizing them and everything else. Another thing to look at if you're a small business.
That's a smart way to do it.
Small business guy.
Save the receipts, scan it in, make sure it's there. Now you've got the proof, you've got the documentation, and you make Duane's job easier as the CPA. CPA of TampaBay.com, is that where they find you?
Yep, that's it.
CPA of TampaBay.com. Duane Bishoff, longtime friend of the show. Support the local economy by supporting Duane and his business and all of our expert contributors. Duane, thanks for coming in.
All right. Great to be here. See you next time.
Yes, sir. All right. Coming up, Thomas and JD in studio with us. Friendly Pest Control. We're going to give some consumer tips coming up here. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show.
All right. Welcome back. Thanks for hanging with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Got our friends Friendly Pest Control in studio with us. Thomas and JD coming up here next. Just a moment before we do, a couple of hot listings here. We always like to feature our real estate listings live on air. It's part of our strategy that helps our sellers sell faster for more money with less headaches. We got a property here at 7325 Skybird. This one is in Bradenton in Manatee County. Beautiful condo close to the Gulf beaches here. 7325 Skybird Road right here in beautiful Manatee County. Great opportunity to own real estate. This one is 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 1-car garage. Unit number 399 in Bradenton. 1,520 square foot condo, beautiful lake views, recently remodeled. You got granite counters, wood cabinets, stainless steel appliances, and you have a beautiful 81-foot lagoon-style heated community pool with clubhouse, fitness center as well right here in Bradenton, Florida, Manatee County. 14135 Cypress Circle in Tampa. This one's in Carewood. Great opportunity again for real estate investment right here in Tampa Bay. Cypress Circle. People love the Carewood area. This is a hot listing. We're getting a lot of showings on it. 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2 carport, 1,308 square foot single family home. It's a villa style condo in Cypress Clusters at Carewood Village. You have a covered front porch, beautifully tiled. I love the color scheme here on this condo as well. Beautiful lighter colors, stainless steel appliances. Got a community pool there as well. Check out 14135 Cypress Circle in Tampa, and you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And a quick shout out to Discovery Golf Cars, longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show. They hooked me up with a beautiful Keller Williams red golf car, and we love to go out and take that. We use it for business and personal use as well. We use it sometimes for door knocking with our real estate team, and of course Charlie and Carter and Brady like to go for rides on the golf carts. So check them out online, discoverygolfcars.com. Make sure you let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, we got Thomas and JD back in studio with us. Friendly Pest Solutions. Welcome back in, fellas.
Thank you very much for having us.
Hey, my pleasure. Hey, so tell me a little about the seasonal advice. We like to talk about consumer advocate tips here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. What's going on seasonally right now, JD?
So right now we still having issues with mosquitoes. A lot of the afternoon rains are still, the mosquitoes are breeding heavily.
Yep.
They've actually been in the news very recently. There's a new mosquito-borne virus. It's called Aura Pooch virus, also known as the sloth fever. 5 cases already been reported here in Hillsborough County, 2 of them in Pasco County, and 32 total for the state of Florida.
Wow.
So mosquitoes, big issue still.
How do we treat those?
So we do monthly services for those. We target the adult mosquitoes. We also have traps that we also place in the landscape in the backyard. Mainly, just to reduce the amount of adult female mosquitoes that are biting people and causing some of these viruses to populate.
Yeah, and they're such a nuisance too. These mosquitoes, or even where I live on Lake Tarpon, we got the midges. So they come around. I guess they call them blind mosquitoes too. You've heard of those?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So our mosquito services is typically targeted for mosquitoes. It will put a little damper on the blind mosquitoes as well, but mainly targeting the mosquitoes, the ones that are causing some of these viruses.
Yeah. Wow. So that's a new one out. First time I heard that one. You said it's the Aura Pooch virus.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah. Also known, it's more commonly known as the sloth fever.
Sloth fever.
Wow. You know what the symptoms are with the sloth fever?
Thomas, you want to hone in on that?
Yeah, so from the research that I've done, it's kind of similar to like dengue or Zika virus. Right. So it'll just kind of cause like diarrhea, fever, body aches.
All the fun stuff.
Yes.
It's especially dangerous if during pregnancy.
Okay.
Because it is transferable to the fetus.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting. So Friendly Pest Solutions, I can tell you from firsthand experience, they are a first-class operation. They we recently had a tech over at our home, and we treated the subterranean. So that was kind of interesting. The first time I've really seen it firsthand. Can you describe that process too?
Yeah, so the subterranean termites are very heavily populated here in Florida. What we do is we put down these bait stations around the perimeter of the home, and that's kind of like putting a barrier around there. That way they're kind of picking up this virus and not knowing it, and instead of feeding on your home, they're feeding on these the poison that we're putting down.
Yep.
And then they're actually spreading this throughout the whole colony, and that's how we're killing them off.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting, too, because I asked the rep that was there, the tech that was there, because I saw him kind of screw it into the ground or push it into the ground. It was like every 15 or 18 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So we place them every 12 lineal feet.
Okay.
And we call it a treated zone. Basically, termites randomly forage for food.
Okay.
So there's no really set ways of how they find or how they tell the difference between a piece of dead wood or your home.
Right.
And so as they randomly forage, they find our bait stations. They love it. They consume it. They take it back to the nest, and it collapses the colonies.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. Get rid of them. Keep them treated. I saw some stats, too, where you see the amount of damage that termites can cause in a year. They say it's more than flood, fire, damp, all the different types of disasters that you see in Florida or across the country. So, yeah, it's a tremendous amount of damage, and people don't really realize it, right?
And the other fact about that is that a lot of homeowners insurance doesn't cover termite damage.
Wow.
So most homeowners don't realize that they're basically on their own if they happen to have damage. So we always say it's always better to do a preventative treatment than it is to wait until they have termites. Now they're dealing with damage, and it's estimated between $5,000 to $8,000 worth of damage when they're discovered.
Wow.
So at that point, they're having to pay for a treatment and as well as the damage that they've caused.
Right. Yeah. And in a real estate transaction as well, man, it can really cause a challenge with negotiations, keeping the contract together. I've seen it happen over the years where, it's kind of one of the inspection processes. You have the appraisal, you have the inspections, and then these termites show up, and it's like, wow, so that throws a wrinkle in the closing. And I've had it happen, too, where the buyer's agent will hire their inspector, and the termite inspector will say, yeah, we got termites here. And then the seller says, wait a minute, I've never had termites. What do you mean? I've never had termites. They'll hire another inspector, and that inspector will come in and say, no, there's no termites here. So it's kind of interesting, when you see that.
It is. So we take our wood destroying organism reports very seriously. And when we do them, we always document properly. We draw a graph. And we take a lot of pictures and videos if we can, just so we can document what we find. Sometimes you have homeowners that'll say, can we just push it under the carpet? Unfortunately, we have to go by the visual inspection and what we find out there.
Right.
And then we give the proper recommendations.
Right. Yeah, because it's like, your licensing's on the line, right?
That's
it's
correct.
like, I'm not going to, one deal, try to, have these types of situations come up. If you just joined us, by the way, we're talking with Thomas and JD, Friendly Pest Solutions, in studio with us, and we talk a lot about real estate. And you mentioned insurance because it's kind of interesting. Getting to know, for example, Derek Coble, he's our public adjuster on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and Jason Mears, who's going to be on tomorrow's show. He's our insurance expert contributor for the talk show. But people really don't understand a lot of times what's in their policies, and I think that's a challenge for a lot of homeowners to really kind of dig in and understand. For example, after a loss, after a storm comes through, you have certain duties to mitigate damages. That's just one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize. So
correct, and that's one of the things that we always try to get our sales inspectors to make sure that they cover all those things with homeowners, because a lot of them don't realize that termite damage isn't covered, by their insurance. So we let them, we let them know ahead of time so that they can make an educated decision based on what the findings are during those inspections.
Right. What are some other top tips or nuggets of advice that you have, or maybe frequently asked questions? What do you see happening typically every week out there?
So we always advise homeowners to be very vigilant. If they see anything different around their home, roof leaks, paint peeling off a wall, those are all signs that there's something else going on there. And termites are very conducive to moisture. And so, if you see something like that, call the professionals. Call somebody to go out there and do a professional termite inspection. We don't charge for hours. We go out there free of charge, and we give free advice, whether they use us or decide to do something else. We just want to go out there and educate our customers, educate the public, and that's what we do.
Yeah, consultative approach. And you can also, how can you spot the termites? You see the wings, like the little kind of clear, crisp-looking wings?
Yes.
Is that how you spot them?
That's one of the ways that they can spot them, but it just depends on the season, because sometimes you don't see wings because they're not swarming during that type of year. So they're seasonal.
Got it.
It doesn't mean that they're not eaten. It just means that they haven't swarmed yet.
Okay.
So you have your subterranean termites that swarm typically during the winter months, January, February, maybe up until March.
Yeah.
And then you have your drywood termites that swarm typically during the spring months, so May, June, July. So it's better to call the experts to go out there. We use identifying factors to determine which type of termite it is, because a lot of times you're just looking at either wings or dead bodies, and it's very hard to distinguish and tell the difference between the two.
Right.
One treatment isn't going to kill the other, so that's where we come in and we educate the customers to show them, what type of termite they're dealing with and which direction to take as far as the treatment approach.
Yeah, best way to treat it. All right, good stuff. How do you want people to connect with you?
Give us a call. Our office number is 813-810-8464. We have office staff ready to take your information and get an inspector out there for a free consultation. We're here to help.
Let's give that number one more time.
813-810-8464.
All right, good stuff. Thanks for coming in, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Brandon.
Hey, my pleasure. All right, taking a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk with Nick Friedman in the house, College Hunks Moving, College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we're going to talk about his success story and the franchise and the growth that he's seen over the past decade or so right here in Tampa Bay. Local success story, entrepreneurship story here in Tampa Bay. We'll be right back. All right, Brandon BRimes here in studio with Nick Friedman, College Hunks Moving, College Hunks Moving Junk, Hauling Junk, that is, and Moving Company coming up. Just a minute. Quick listing here before we jump into this awesome entrepreneurship story here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We got a property on Gulf Boulevard. As you know, we like to feature our real estate listings live on air, and our strategy works, helps us sell our properties faster for more money. 3 bedrooms, 3 bath, 2,000 square foot. Beautiful condo, beachfront condo right on Indian Shores, 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F, Indian Shores, Florida. I love this property. A couple of main points here. You're right on the beach, only $250 a month HOA, so super low HOA for a condo these days, and you are able to short-term rent it. So great opportunity, 18522 Gulf Boulevard, Unit F, Indian Shores, and you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. This is God's country. All right, Nick Friedman, welcome in, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. It's I'm talking with Mike Murphy over the years. I said, man, we got to get with Nick and Omar and get them in studio. I love the entrepreneurship story. Tell us a little, brief history on, how it came about.
Yeah, so, didn't grow up saying I want to be a junk hauler or a moving business mogul when I grow up, but was brought up to follow the traditional career path. And the summer before our senior year of college, this was almost 20 years ago now, my buddy Omar from high school, his mom had a beat-up cargo van, and she said, why don't you take the van and do something with it? And then she paused and looked us up and down. She goes, you guys could be college hunks who haul junk. And so we just laughed about it, made flyers, stuck it in mailboxes, and the phone started ringing. So the light bulb moment went off for us, and I call it a 20-year overnight success. Today we ended up going the franchise route, so we've got about 200 franchise locations all around the country, headquartered right here in Tampa Bay. We added the moving service about 10 years ago, so it's been a fun journey, and we feel like we're still just getting started.
Yeah, I love that, man. You got franchises throughout the state of Florida. You going into Georgia now, or how far have you gone?
Yeah, believe it or not, we're in about 40 states.
Nice.
So we've got over a dozen here in Florida. We got a handful in Georgia and the Carolinas, and then all up the eastern seaboard, and a handful in Texas as well. So it's really kind of spread our wings, and really just the idea is helping people get rid of stuff they don't want, but also making the transition of moving a smooth one as well.
Yeah. What's been one of the biggest lessons lessons learned throughout that growth process?
Yeah, well, for us, and you know this just as well, when you're in a business that's somewhat competitive and anybody can kind of get into that business, you got to figure out what's going to help me set ourselves apart. And so we knew we had something catchy with a name, right? Like College Hunks Hauling Junk. We knew the colors were bright. People see the orange and green trucks around town. But we knew that was just enough to get people to maybe pay attention. But in order to get people to come back, we had to provide a better experience. So we had to provide a better service. And it started with our employees and our franchise owners. And then ultimately that would extend to the client experience as well, because we rely so heavily, just like you, on the referral business, the repeat business, the reputation online and offline.
That's right.
And so when we became very intentional about that, it wasn't it didn't sizzle like the name, but it really helped us stand apart and make an impact and make a difference.
Yeah, I love that, man. And you've done your fair share of TV shows now, so that's pretty cool. I was looking at your bio the other day. Wow, pretty awesome, lineup of shows that you've been on. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, our first big break into Hollywood, I guess you could say, was the first episode of the first season of Shark Tank.
Wow.
So this was about 15 years ago, and we were just answering an ad in a magazine that was saying they were looking for entrepreneurs to pitch a business idea for a TV show. And at the time, we had about 4 or 5 franchises, and we thought this could be a great way to kind of get some exposure, but also maybe get an investor. We ended up getting an offer from Robert Herjavec, one of the Sharks, but we ended up turning it down because at the time, they weren't really celebrities like they are today, so we didn't know it was going to turn into the big hit that it is. And that did open our eyes to the power of media, the power of whether it's radio, TV, reality TV, news. We saw that, hey, we're a consumer brand. If we can get ourselves out there in the public eye, people will recognize us when they're searching for our services, and our name pops up. That might resonate with them. So since then, we've been on House Hunters here in Tampa. We did a House Hunters renovation. We actually redid a house on Bayshore almost 10 years ago, my wife and I. And then more recently, Omar and I were on Undercover Boss, and that was a really cool experience. We got to put our disguise on, fly into a few different cities where they wouldn't have recognized us, and kind of really get back to our roots of driving the truck and hauling the furniture.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I like that Undercover Boss. That's interesting. What did you catch some people off guard with that?
It did. We I think the most, I would say, powerful part of that experience was really just hearing the stories of some of the frontline team members that are, have made our brand part of their journey. And, it was very fulfilling as a founder to see how passionate they were, but also a little bit humbling to see some of the struggles and challenges, that they're going through just to try to put food on the table, in day-to-day, day in, day out. But we also did uncover a few things that, weren't ideal for brand representation, a couple customer service issues that we had to smooth out. But, the arc of the show had a happy ending, so that was all good. And we got to give out some great awards to some deserving people in our company.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that. If you just joined us, we're talking with Nick Friedman here in studio. College Hunks Hauling Junk and Moving Company, multiple over 200 franchises now across the country. So I love the success stories. I love the entrepreneurship. And yeah, it really does come down to when I teach classes like tomorrow, I'm teaching at the Pinellas Realtor Organization. I teach realtors how to win with sellers is the name of the class. But I always talk about your USP. What's your unique selling proposition? What's going to make you different and stand out? And why should I choose you as a realtor when there's 20,000 realtors in Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
So I really think that's one of the key elements when you're getting into business and you're trying to develop that niche. It's like, hey, how can I differentiate?
Yeah, and it can be nuanced. It doesn't have to be crazy disruptive like Uber was to taxis or like Netflix was to Blockbuster. It could be like I'm going to try harder. I'm going to care more. I'm going to give a greater effort. And you've got to have confidence in what it is that you're going to deliver to your clients.
Yeah.
I saw a thing on sales recently that sales is 10% of the tactical and 90% of the confidence and the conviction in what it is you have to offer.
Yeah,
and so if you're convinced that what you have to offer is going to be helpful to the person that you're offering it to, then you shouldn't hesitate to tell them that it's going to benefit them and why it's going to benefit them.
Yeah.
So for us, it was nuanced. It was, we created an acronym out of HUNKS: honest, uniformed, nice, knowledgeable service. And we said, hey, you're going to get that where that's our brand promise. Not every moving company can promise you that. And we are. And if they do promise you that, we're going to do it better or more consistently than they will. And so that's kind of was our USP. And I think the same thing holds true in real estate or, any other product or service line.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And lastly, philanthropic. You and Omar are doing a lot philanthropic-wise in Tampa Bay. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we consider ourselves to be purpose-driven, values-based entrepreneurs, and so one of the things we created about 5 years ago was a partnership with US Hunger. It actually used to be called Feeding Children Everywhere, and we donate 2 meals for every completed job to the organization. We actually just eclipsed the 5 million meal mark since launching that program, so it's pretty incredible. And then during the COVID era, we started a program where we began offering free moves for survivors of domestic violence, because we kept hearing about all these stories about people sort of being trapped with their abusers, and we've got trucks, we've got labor, we can be a source and a resource for that. And so doing those sorts of things makes it more fulfilling, than just trying to put points on the board, because you could see the impact you're making, the team members value it, and the clients do as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to have you back on for a longer interview. That was a little bit short there, but thanks for coming in, man. How do you want people to connect with you, Nick?
CollegeHunks.com is our website if you want to learn about the moving or hauling side of things, and NickFriedman.com is my website if you want to connect with me on social media. It's got all my links there as well.
All right, good stuff, man. Check him out online, NickFriedman.com, and thank you for tuning in to the Consumer Quarterback Show. Check us out online, ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.